Chair recognized the honourable member for Cat Island, Rum Key, and San Salvador.
Speaker, it is said that the rarefied air of leadership is a lonely place. I also think, the idiocy, when you say, what do you call it? Idiots, incompetence, and, those descriptive, vituperative language. Yes. They could be people who occupy, or who could be described as such, I think also find themselves in a lonely place. A lonely place. And so when I can let you tell me. So when I heard the leader of the opposition, member for Kalani, my MP, I wasn't going to speak. My MP, I realized that he was looking for company. You understood? He's looking for company. But he wouldn't find it on this side. He wouldn't find it on this side. Mr. Speaker, the truth of the matter is that under the Caribbean Action Task Force Committee, the Bahamas have been evaluated 3 times. And when they look at the state of our protocols and legislation to deter money laundering, anti-terrorism, weapons of mass destruction, they identify what we call weaknesses in our laws. They don't just do it for our country, they do it for all the jurisdictions. They identified, and there's this review. The 4th annual review of all jurisdictions is due to come, is due soon. And so it behooves us all to do those things to correct those deficiencies pointed out. Now, after the first review, second review, legislation was passed to meet the requirement, as it were, to solve and to fill the gaps of those deficiencies. But since the third review, no steps have been taken to do so. And that's what we're doing here today. The layman from Galani clearly was led to say a lot of things he may have said. And whereas he didn't articulate some of the concerns, having looked at one of them, I think I understand what his lawyer was telling him to say. His lawyer was telling him to say, I think I understand. I think I understand what his lawyer is telling him to say, because even if I repeat what he said and ask him to respond to me in respect to that, he will not be able to respond now. Yeah, you want me to tell his name? I'll call his name, please. But Mr. Speaker, it is one thing to, it's one thing, I don't say anything was wrong with that, No, I didn't say anything was wrong with that. All I'm saying is, if he spoke to a lawyer and they told him these things, he could say that. Yeah, I could tell. He can say that.
All the geniuses right on the all the geniuses right there.
But Mr. Speaker, and so, quite apart from amending our laws to to, as it were, to fulfill our international obligations to suppress organized crime and other ancillary offenses. We are doing what is necessary to ensure that when our fourth evaluation has come, we will be as compliant as is necessary following the third review. Now, Mr. Speaker, as I rise on behalf of the wonderful people of Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador to support these crime bills, I think it's incumbent upon me to respond to some statements issued by those opposite in respect to the urban renewal small home repair program. And I had to do so because having heard the member from Long Island and all of this, you got to know what's going on under you, and you have to, and it seemed to have some connection with the statement because she was expressing her, I guess, a grave concern about what she perceives or heard or observed to be occurring under our governance. Now, Mr. Speaker, the government of the Bahamas, this government announced, during our 2013-2014 budget communication, we announced our commitment to the urban renewal program and our intentions to launch the small homes repair program in an attempt to bring relief and improvement to our people's living conditions. This effort, along with our current upgrade and modernizations to social services, is intended to impact the lives of people who are in urgent need at this most critical time in the economic life of our country. Mr. Speaker, we on this side, we believe in people. And they know, people know, that they are in safe, secure hands when it comes to the people. Now, in a statement issued by those opposite, the F&M charged, as I said, this connects somewhat to what the member was talking about, national insurance she's talking about. So I need to touch on that, right? Yeah, it has to be short, At times it has to be short. The F&M charge that they have cause for great concern with respect to this initiative by the government through urban renewal. Well, Mr. Speaker, let me assure the House, by arresting the concerns by the opposition, this is not the government of Hubert Alexander Ingram, but rather the administration commanded by the Right Honorable Perry Gladstone Christie. And so there's no need for concern. We on this side have absolutely nothing to hide. We have every confidence that the small homes repair program shall create employment, while at the same time better the living conditions of our people who had to endure the greatest pain of neglect by those opposite during their five-year term in office. You see, Mr. Speaker, those who see fit to come and make claims and create conclusions about this government must come with clean hands. What is indeed amazing is that those opposite who sit in this parliament today have yet to give a full account of their management of the Bahamian people's money when they last sat in office. Was there a cause for concern when the F&M issued millions in the Jumpstart and Job Readiness Program? We started off with, I think, 25 million and ended up costing taxpayers double in the last Ingram administration. These schemes operated by those opposite displayed absolutely no transparency or accountability to the Bahamian people. And no one on that side was even bold enough to explain how persons who were paid or called up in the program failed to show up for work. And Mr. Speaker, I have evidence, and there's evidence to show, that there are persons who were paid public money to jumpstart business, which business was never started, and some persons who even never applied for it, for the scheme. I got a number of them in Cat Island. In the Cat Island. I spoke about it. I brought some here. I passed it to them too, I think. I laid it on the table. You want me to bring it again? I will soon again. I wonder if the group opposite have any solace in themselves and exercise cause for concern. You say you could touch and feel, touch, feel, and see. When they allowed overruns to occur to near $100 million on the road better known as the New Providence Road Improvement Program. And had that program not been brought under control and into order by this administration, it would have actually cost taxpayers for more.
Member for Cat Island, member for Kalani stands on the point of order. You have a point of order?
No. I just want to stand.
I did. The member has a point of order. He said the member has a point of order.
Mr. Speaker, this $100 million cost overrun, they have been referring to that over and over. The IDB had addressed that. I don't know, Mr. Speaker, if you would allow us to bring a poster with the IDB's IDB's analysis and explanation for the $100 million, so that we can post it in the back here so the member can see it every day. So that he would know that it's IDB had explained why it was done and why it was necessary, rather than me having to go through this all the time.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Matter of fact, he said
members,
at the end of the day,
member for Cat Island, Rumkey.
Speaker, the question is, did they ask, they're expressing concern about our small homes repairs. Right? I'm asked, the fact is, were you concerned about overruns? Right? Through you, I would also like to ask those opposite, Mr. Speaker,
members,
if they exercise any cause for concern, and they talk about national insurance. Someone talk about national insurance today. Now, they do speak of any cause of concern, and I guess talk about one part of it today. I got more to come. When one electrical contractor got most of the work issued at the board and was the contractor the choice on almost every project issued by national insurance, did they express any concern about that? Where was the concern then by the F&M? The same electrical contractor was also on a list of contractors who collected millions for work that today is still incomplete. Incomplete. Right? Right? Where was the cause of concern, Mr. Speaker, then by the F&M? When the Robert Smith, the same national insurance we talked about this morning, when the Robert Smith Adolescent Center at Sutherland's was, one contractor, after the work had been completed, under your watch got 8.1 million, got an additional 4 million plus, so totaling over 12 million, and the work is still not complete. Any concern about that? Still not complete? Right? It's never complete. Now, if I go back, we go back to
members,
the contractor.
Members for Cat Island, address the chair.
Go back. You all express any concerns.
I know it's hard, but address the chair.
It's attractive to talk to. I wonder, did they express any concern, Mr. Speaker? I heard them talking about trailers of goods being bought directly through national insurance funds, right? And they say one gone missing. Okay, fine. I'll be concerned about that as well. But did you express any concern about when national insurance was paying vendors directly for materials at one price, and the contractor contracted by them was importing it at a far lesser price to defraud customs? Did they express any concern about that? Huh?
Members, I noticed that the member for Kalani stood. Let me just advise members, if you rise up on a point of order, you have the authority to stand and state it for all to hear that you rise on a point of order. Don't just stand up. I notice members tend to do that. I think most of us should spend more time reading the rules. Member for Kalani.
Mr. Speaker, the member for Cat Island repeatedly talk about concern. The member would know that I've addressed in this House before that when that building was inspected, the roof, which was supposed to have been done with 2x8 wood, was done by 2x4. It was totally inadequate. It was condemned by the engineers. Review the engineer's report that you have. What would have happened had we completed work that you had started? The roof would have caved in, resulting in death and possibly injury to all those within that building because of inadequate material utilized. Read the engineering report. It's right there.
Member, I ask you to member for Kalani to address the chair. Member for Cat Island Rumkey.
And so, Mr. Speaker, armed with the information that he's now disclosing, assuming, without accepting that he's correct. But let's assume that he's correct, right? He armed with all that information, armed with all the information that he had. They then went ahead, knowing that they issued a new contract, right? Right? No, to another contractor. They issued a contract for $8.1 million, taking into account all that they have, right? So one would expect that the building would be finished for 8.1. It was not finished by 8.1, right? And then they gave another 4, and it's still not completed. That's the point I'm making.
Members,
that's what I want to express concern about that.
Member rises on a point of order. Members, the chair recognizes the member for Kalani. Kalani, member Kalani, address the chair.
If it had cost me $50-60 million to save hundreds of Bahamians' lives, young babies' lives, who would have died in there, I would have done it.
I advise all members when they stand on a point of order to follow the rules. Member for Cat Island Rumkey in San Salvador. Member, the chair would like to hear. The chair would like to hear the member for Cat Island Rumkey.
I want the member. I just want him to sit, listen, and understand. He is saying that they met a catastrophe. No. I'm accepting that what he's saying is correct. Let's accept what he's saying is correct. He met a catastrophe. He then sets about to correct that catastrophe, right? And he says, to fix this, it's going to cost me $8.1 million. That's the point I'm making, right? It did not cost 8.1, right? They paid an additional $4 million, and it's still ain't finished. And so I'm saying, where is the cause of concern in that regard? Right? We will deal with it. Okay, that's it. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, right? And the money is went into their crony sand.
Members.
Mr. Speaker, just let me. See, I want to assure the House and the nation that Urban Renewal 2.0 Small Homes Repair Program is designed with the objective of completing small-scale renovations to houses owned by occupants who have been identified by social service representatives as needing such assistance. It is also designed to inject new hope and opportunity to small contractors. It will create short-term employment for our people, and it will better the living conditions of struggling homeowners who cannot help themselves at this time. And I am confident that those charged with managing the work, the Honorable Cynthia Mother Pratt, the Honorable Aslan Allen, with a certified accountant in place, right? Ms. Horton, right? With a certified accountant in place, with a PS, a permanent secretary specifically assigned to this, and with Mr. Renwood Wells, a member for Bamboo Town, and Keith Bell, that this program is in good hand, and the works will deliver, and the best service possible on behalf of the Bahamian people as we move, will be delivered as we move our nation forward. And Mr. Speaker, these crime bills that's before us, it's again an effort, as we've said, to prioritize our number one concern of returning a level of safety to our communities. There's no doubt, Mr. Speaker, that crime is trending downwards. The stats prove this fact. Our multifaceted approach to dealing with crime through prevention and detection, prosecution, and on the other end, rehabilitation, is now in the full view of the public. We have, through the leadership of the member for Baines and Grantstown, embarked on a holistic approach in dealing with the problem, engaging stakeholders and the general public through town meetings and public notices. We have deployed more boots on the ground. There's increased visibility and swift action by patrols. The saturation across this country is now in place. The church and other civic organizations have deployed and tied in their energies to helping the crime fight. And indeed, we are seeing results. And while these efforts have begun, our leadership in the Attorney General's office has also stepped up their overall of the judicial and prosecutorial agencies of the government. More criminal courts are set to open, and more judges to be assigned to hear matters to begin the smooth movement of cases through the system. Mr. Speaker, we always held the view that the solutions to crime must include all stakeholders in the criminal justice system. That is, connecting and locking the hands of everyone in the process of apprehending, prosecuting, defending, sentencing, and incarcerating persons suspected in criminal matters. No government can do it alone. Further to this, we believe crime is not a PLP, F&M, or DNA problem. It has no color, race, creed, or gender. We believe that crime is not a PLP, F&M, or DNA problem. It has no color, race, creed, or gender. Our efforts today, therefore, are to further empower our stakeholders to keep Bahamians safe from violent crime. We know from the records of the last term, Bahamians demanded an arrest of the crime problem, as there were growing feelings of being unsafe in our communities. And clearly, we all accept the fact that there are no illusions that we can solve this problem overnight. However, the country can be assured that the process began. Blows are being delivered, and we will continue to deliver blows to crime and its effects. These bills have brought attention, Mr. Speaker, have brought attention to organized criminal gangs, which we now know is a major contributing factor to our country's unacceptable violent crime rate. And so, as we address this issue, the bills before us bring the Bahamas in line with the legal codes of other Caribbean nations, and by extension, joins our hands in the fight against crimes, not just inside, but around the region and world. Just this morning, I opened the 30th plenary meeting of the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force. The work by this august body is extremely important in the fight against money laundering, terrorist financing, and addresses the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction in our region. We all in the region accept the fact that our financial stability, which we have long enjoyed, hinges on the fact that we address these ills in a major way. I want to assure the public that we are doing all in our power to arrest this vexing crime situation, and in the months and days ahead, it is our prayer that every citizen will join in this fight. As I've said, we cannot do it alone. We need all hands on deck. Police also needs the support of every citizen to come on board and report crime and criminal activity wherever it is festering. Our Prime Minister's mandate to this administration is to mount the greatest thrust against crime that this country has ever seen. I want to assure this House and the public that this has begun, and you've just seen the start of it. Mr. Speaker, Cat Island, Rum Kings, and Salvador support these bills.